DJ SurfZilla.
Yizzo. Check. All right, today we have an awesome guest. Let's see what I have here in my notes about this particular guest. The founder, you're still the founder, right? Digital web and the musical web.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. We're going to get into that.
Oh, boy.
In a few seconds. So, yeah, she's the founder. She's a musician. I believe you do modeling, too, I'm guessing.
Do I do what?
Modeling.
No.
Oh, well, she should be a model. She's really tall and beautiful and talented. We have, how do I pronounce your name? Ayana?
Really? Ayana.
Beautiful. Webb. Everybody, clap. So.
Thank you.
So, tell the listening audience. Oh, before I get into that, you were a panelist at NAMM.
Yeah, well, panelists, I guess yeah. So basically, I'm going to be speaking, for those who are going to NAMM, I'm going to be speaking on Sunday the 19th. So they haven't given me a time yet. They're going to give me a time around later on. So the topic that I'm going to be talking about is how you can use Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising to grow your fan base as a musician. So that's going to be the topic I'm going to cover.
And that's awesome.
Thank you.
I see that's kind of what your web, I don't want to dub web industries, pay me. No, that's kind of like what your web empire is all about, the whole promoting and marketing musicians thing.
Yeah, it's basically kind of connecting the two, because I feel like there's a huge disconnect between the music world and the marketing world, which is the reason why a lot of musicians are having an issue trying to make a living with their music, and being one of the few who, I guess, fell through the cracks in terms of making both of them work. In my mind, I was like, why can't I just formulate some kind of training program or multiple training programs to help other musicians, and not even just musicians, but also creatives. You know, you could be a painter or somebody, if you have a passion, why can't I just teach them how to leverage marketing and advertising to grow their business as well? So that's how I kind of got into the, doing what I do now. So basically, when I started teaching about 8 years ago, that was traditional, flyer distribution. That's kind of how I started. And then I got the right mentorship. And you know who my mentor is, but he basically taught me, he started with selling courses online for piano, gospel keys, or gospel piano by ear. And he kind of had the similar path where he had people asking him, how did he do it? And then he started another company, and then he started teaching people how to use Facebook advertising, how to build what's called sales funnels. Basically, funneling people into your sales pages and selling courses and leveraging your knowledge by selling courses online. So that's how I got into selling, taking my piano skills and my teaching and turning it into a course and then selling that online. And then when that blew up, I said, well, why can't I just take, again, my marketing knowledge and helping other musicians to kind of, find ways to leverage their income as well, whether they want to do shows, if they want to sell courses, if they want to sell their music. There's different ways that you can use Facebook advertising and other means of marketing to be able to do that. So that's how I got into my business.
And that's actually quite genius.
Thank you.
Considering all the time people invest into Facebook, musicians especially, we often use our time unwisely when we could actually be making money and doing things that lead to making money.
Yeah, it's funny because my mentor, he said, do you want to be liked or do you want to be paid? Right. And one thing I do see a lot is, we get so caught up in what we call in the digital world vanity metrics, where we get caught in the views and the likes and the shares, and we never find a way to monetize that. And the problem is we're kind of at the mercy of what we call Facebook's algorithm. So even if you post something, you may have taken X amount of years to grow, 10,000 likes or 100,000 likes. But Facebook still has control over how many people see your post.
Right.
So if you post like a video of, you performing to 100,000 people, Facebook can go, well, yeah, we know you have 100,000 people, but we'll only show it to, 1,000 of those people.
Right.
And if you want, the other 99,000 people to see it, you're going to have to pay us. So you end up having to pay Facebook anyway. But then even if you take that route, where are you taking your traffic? Are you just taking them to more videos, or are you taking them to something that you can actually sell to them? Right. So, yeah.
Would you say that most people that go viral pay for it, or is going viral even a thing anymore, like an organic thing?
It's, I don't think a lot of people are paying to go viral, but at the end of the day, it's, it kind of goes back to the same point. If you're going viral, what does it mean if you, still need money?
Right.
So, and the other thing is, going viral, that's only temporary. You can go viral for a couple of days, and then, a week later, no one knows who you are anymore.
Right.
So I don't think that, I've done a lot of paid videos. I wouldn't say that my videos have gone viral, but it has turned into money, and that's what matters to me the most. So that's one thing I encourage a lot of musicians is, it's good to have, that popularity, but you still have to focus on turning that popularity into, financial living. So
definitely. And there's a hashtag that I always use that I first saw my bro Jersey using, called work over hype. And I think a lot of musicians like hype. I always said that hype was a drug. Some cats would rather be worshipped than be paid, which is crazy, but it's kind of like a human nature type of thing, It
is. It's unfortunate. Like you said, it is like a drug. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I learned about selling, the art of selling, is that people buy with emotion and justify with logic. So even when it comes to, when I was, learning how to sell my course, it's more than just about talking about what they're going to learn. Oh, you're going to get, X amount of hours of videos. But how do you tap into that person emotionally that's going to get them to actually pull out their wallet and buy from you? And one of the selling points that I use is you will be the person that everyone crowds around when you're, going through riffs and runs and things like that. That's what gets them to buy the course, because they want that, the accolades and the kudos. And that's the angle. It's funny you mentioned about that being a drug. That's the angle that we use to convince people to buy from us. So yeah.
And that's also genius. Yeah, because especially with us male musicians, our egos are just out of control. So if you could tell someone that they can that the skills presented could cause any type of attention to us. Of course, women, everybody, humans like attention.
Humans in general.
But on that subject,
oh boy,
on my discoveries, on my studies, because with all my guests, I want to, study them, and obviously everybody that's listening that will listen to this, they don't know who you are off the bat. But I saw that you had written a beautiful dissertation, I would say, in 2014 about sexism in the music industry.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Wasn't that like a note on Facebook or something?
It was a Facebook note, and I was just like, wow, this is deep.
I don't even remember what I wrote.
It was a lot. But just shooting it out there, like, do you think that's still a thing now, or do you think that it still exists?
What's funny, because I had a conversation with a cousin of mine who, she was in the industry as well. She actually, was the tour manager for a major artist back in the day. And she was kind of telling me, and that's actually the reason why, if I remember what inspired that note, it was that conversation. And she was saying about how, in the music industry, it's hard, as a female, because you kind of have to move a certain way, and there's certain things that you may have to do that you don't feel like doing in order to, break into the industry. And I'm not sure if she put it that way, but she was basically saying that as a woman, by default, it would be harder for you to get into the industry because it's male dominated and things of that nature. And I thought about it, And, you know, in a way, it's because of where the internet is going and because of a lot of the resources that were not available to us, you know, 20, 30 years ago in terms of being able to make it in the industry is available to everybody now. Right. That may not be as big of an issue as it was like back in the 60s or 70s or 80s, because no one stopped me from, you know, being able to start my own business because I was a woman. You know, no one can tell me, oh, well, you can only charge but this much because you're a woman. Like that's never been, I've never allowed that to be a barrier for me specifically. And that was what inspired me to write that note. So I think that's
awesome.
That's what I wrote.
So it's not so much as it not existing, it's more so your attitude towards it and basically your drive towards what you're trying to do. And
I think that becomes relevant if you're putting the fate of your career or your dreams in someone else's hands.
Right.
That's when it becomes relevant. But if you're in full control over your own career, then other people can have as much power over you as you give to them. And that's one thing that I learned. So just maintaining my own power, the whole idea of being a female, being in the industry was never a real issue for me.
Right. And even the music industry itself, as historically, because I love having these type of conversations, like the history of the music industry has always been shady. Whether you're white or black or whatever, it's mainly about intelligent people and less intelligent people that actually have the talent. So
right.
Like people like if the music industry was like a Bible, like the main theme would be like, to me, it would be, you know, talented people who are not intelligent can be manipulated by talented people who are intelligent. You know what I'm saying? And like Cadillac Records was perfect. Like that movie demonstrated that, where it was like, hey, you know, I'll give you a Cadillac, and people were okay with that. And like, meanwhile, I'm making millions of dollars. And like, or when you look at older interviews, like I like watching older interviews, like Little Richard and stuff like that. And he'll always say like, you know, my manager made all the money. He's probably got a house on the hill, and like I wasn't seeing any money. Like all of that is just intelligence. And like with media, social media, with the internet, with so much information available, like those barriers, those ignorant barriers they had back in the day, you really don't have them now unless you just choose to be ignorant and get got.
Right. And, you know, even when it comes to labels, like we're kind of moving out of the record label era. You know, we're kind of going into digital marketing where, you know, we needed a record label to distribute our music. We don't need them anymore. We can go to CD Baby or TuneCore and get our music distributed to iTunes or, you know, Amazon. And we're kind of moving out of the iTunes age. Now we're going into streaming. You know, it's happening so fast.
Or better yet, what I'm doing now, I took all my music off of Spotify and iTunes and all of that. And you know what? It just clicked. It just clicked to me. Like my cousin Marty was telling me, he was like, all artists need are fans. Now the issue is the labels and the third parties and all that other stuff. They're the liaisons between the artist and the fans, and the artist gave them so much power, you know, that, you know, they were basically controlled by them and they felt like slaves. Like Prince was like a slave. Basically what I did with the mindset that all you need are fans, if there was a way you could go straight to the artist and cut out the middleman, that's more money for the artist. So now I tell drummers when they hit me up like, yo, I'm trying to get your track on blah 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 blah, I say cash at me $2 and I'll send you the track because I have the track. So like, you don't have to go, like the fact that you have access to me, you shouldn't have to go to iTunes to get my music. I can send you the music and then I can take all of the money.
Perfect.
So I'm like, give me $2 for a song.
Right.
Boom. So then when you got 1,000 people hitting you up, now
$2,000.
Yeah. Now it's like, wow, I could drop songs whenever I want. And as long as I'm connected to the fans, and that's the legwork that I have to do, is to connect to the fans, then obviously if I was a, you know, million record fan type of person, I would need, you know, a better, bigger system. But it's just the point of cutting out that middleman and cutting out, like, we have the technology now where you could tweet Beyonce or tweet whoever, you know what I'm saying? Like, they could totally bypass getting robbed and connect directly to the fans.
Right. So now I have a question for you.
Sure.
Have you heard of the 1,000 true fan principle?
No.
What? Okay.
I need that.
Because that directly correlates with